A new look at an old bin Laden tape is making the rounds of jihadi websites, just days after we learned of intelligence indicating al-Qaeda might be plotting a spectacular attack against the U.S., one they'd like to execute soon. But what does this all mean? Joining us now with more is former chief of the FBI's Counterterrorism Unit, Steve Pomerantz. So, Steve, this is as much terror talk as we've had in a long time. What do you make of it?
Well, there's a natural inclination because of everything that's happened to be concerned. We had the attacks in London. We've had the attacks the almost attacks in London. The attack in Glasgow. The release of these tapes. So you have all this peripheral activity going on, which of course causes you to focus your resources and try to figure out what all that means. And that's the job that we're paying everybody to do, to try to stay ahead, to take all these events, to take all these activities, and make some sense out of this and tell us what we need to be doing in anticipation of another attack.
Is this, as our reporter Julie Kurtz was saying, is this just a summer psychological offensive because they can't pull off the attack that they want to?
That's really very difficult, if not impossible, to say. It's certainly one of the explanations. Look, terror is partly is about terror. It's about creating anxiety. It's about changing the way we live our lives, as well as carrying out attacks. And trying to separate those likelihoods and make sense of it all, again, is very difficult and sometimes impossible, depending on the level of specificity of any threat information you have at any given time.
You were once head of the FBI's Counterterrorism Unit. So what are your fellow former colleagues telling you? What's keeping them up at night?
That's the $64,000 question. What's keeping them up at night is the concern about a mega attack.
The big one.
The big one. That's clearly what's keeping them awake at night. That the theory that we have not been attacked, at least partly because al-Qaeda wants to do more than they did the last time. They don't want to step back. So part of what's keeping them up at night is clearly the concern of a mega attack, particularly one involving weapons of mass destruction. But you have to balance that against the likelihood of lesser attacks. Lesser attacks, the ones that were planned at Fort Dix, for example, the ones we've seen in Europe, those that are easier to carry out, require less planning, less coordination, but also can kill and maim people. So you have the two issues that you have to deal with side by side and simultaneously, and be ready for both. But if you ask what's absolutely keeping people awake at night, it's the concern for the mega attack.
Has there been an increase in chatter?
Clearly. When you talk about chatter again, that's
right.
another overworked phrase. I mean, chatter in reality is the collection of all the kinds of different information that go into intelligence. Intercepts, which is normally the way you hear the term chatter, electronic intercepts, but it's also source reporting. It's also the results of all kinds of investigation, all kinds of surveillance activity that comes together and results in trying to draw a picture, to have a picture of what's happening now in real time and what's likely to occur in the very near future.
Well, let's hope they're getting into that chatter and learning something about it. I know this summer's supposed to be a more dangerous time. Real quick, do you think, is the summer more dangerous?
No, I don't think there's anything much more dangerous about the summer than any other time. This summer may be a more dangerous time, but just to say generically that summer is more dangerous, no.
All right, Steve Pomerantz, thanks for joining us today, and we're prepared now. We'll hopefully keep our eyes out for anything suspicious.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.